Our guest today is the Executive Director of Metra. He has worked in the railroad industry for 41 years. Our guest today provides direction and oversight to all areas of Metra's $1.1 billion operating and capital program, which includes engineering, transportation, mechanical, safety, operations training, certification, and regulatory compliance. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the City Club of Chicago, Don Orseno. Don?
Good afternoon. It's great to be back here. I'm very honored to be here amongst my friends and colleagues, and I do want to recognize some of the people in the back of the room. How they heard about it, I don't know, but in my early career, which is a few days ago, I started with the Rock Island 41 years ago. So there's still some Rock Island people back there, so I appreciate all your support. Thanks, Jay. I appreciate the introduction and the kind words. I'd also like to thank our chairman, Marty Oberman, and our board of directors, Norm Carlson, Don DeGraff, John Plant, Romaine Brown, and Rod Craig for coming here today and supporting me. This is wonderful. I can't tell you how proud I am to have a board that is fully supportive and knowledgeable about railroad operations and what we do. We couldn't be accomplishing what we accomplish every single day if we didn't have that support. I'd also like to thank the staff from Metra here. If you would like to raise your hands if you're from Metra here. Look around the room. If you got a good look at him, now you know how many people it takes to make me look good. It couldn't be done by one or two people. I don't know what that means, but I really appreciate all the support and everything that you do in this organization, working from early morning to late at night, making sure we provide a service that we're supposed to provide and deliver good customer service to our customers. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank the RTA, Kirk and Leanne. I appreciate it. We work very well together. I can't tell you how much it means to Metra organization. And also the CTA with Dorval Carter. He's a wonderful person. We've done a lot together, and also TJ Ross from the bus side. Together, Leanne, myself, Dorval, and TJ, we make up the Chicago Transportation Group. That may sound like it's something small. It's not. It's huge. It's huge. There's several million people a day that we provide transportation for. Many of those people don't have any other modes of transportation, so they depend on us. Again, I can't tell you how happy I am to be here today. Last year, when I was here, I talked about what we were going to do to move the organization forward. We talked about a lot of the things that we were blessed with for the past several years, and we made a commitment that we're going to move forward. But before I start with that, I want to talk a little bit about a subject probably nobody in the room has heard about. Has anybody heard about PTC, Positive Train Control? Okay, all right. This is important. It's a important safety overlay on our system that will stop train-to-train collisions, most of them, and also work inclusions and things like that. It was born out of the 2008 Rail Safety Act, and it was supposed to be implemented to make the railroad industry safer, which is great and it's wonderful, and that's what we need to do. The unfortunate thing, when the plan was first developed in 2008, the system wasn't developed. So we looked at it as, what are we going to do, how are we going to develop, and what does it mean to the industry? Through the years after 2008, in 2012, it was very well known, the challenges in PTC, we were not going to be able to comply with the December 31st, 2015 deadline. There was just no way of doing that. So what we did is we rallied everybody together and we talked to several congressional people and other people in the FRA and said, this isn't going to work. It's not doable. So we did what we do the best, is we kicked the can down the road rather than address the problem. So up until a couple weeks ago, actually, or a week ago, we were prepared to shut the railroad down. think of the travesty that that would cause in the Chicagoland area. We provide 300,000 passenger trips a day, 150,000 people without a way to get back and forth to work. It's incomprehensible. I couldn't even imagine that. There's been a study done that says if there was not a Metra, there would need to be 29 more express lanes coming into Chicago. And I really didn't think they would get that done by December 31st. So we worked very, very hard. We went to D.C. several times. We went with the RTA. We went with Chairman Oberman. We really were pressing hard. We didn't want to hide from it. We wanted to get it done, but we wanted to implement it in a safe and reasonable fashion and be held accountable. Once we said we were going to do something with an implementation plan, be held accountable. You can hold our feet to the fire. It just wasn't possible to do the way that it was. At this time, I really, I've got to tell you, Senators Kirk and Durbin and Congressman Representatives Quigley, Lipinski, and Dole in particular, but all of the Illinois delegation that rallied behind trying to get this mountain moved. It wasn't until about 2 months ago when Metra and a lot of the freight railroads had stood up and said, we're not going to be able to run freight. TIH, that's toxic inhalation. That was one of the reasons, for the chemicals, out there in the industry and things, and also passenger service. At that point in time, I think all the antennas of the congressmen and everybody went up and said, and our senators said, we've got a problem, Houston. We got to figure this out. And they put their best foot forward and made it happen. So I just want to thank the delegation for doing that, because without that, we would be talking a little bit different today about how we could supply buses, which they don't have enough buses on the planet to move the people that we move in that 24-hour period. So that's important. One of the other things I did want to talk about, I want to talk about major milestones since we were here last time a year ago in what we're trying to do. We needed to build an organization, a team that we could put together and make sure that we moved Metra in the right direction. So one of the things we did, we reorganized and reinvigorated our police department. I think everybody's looked at some of the reports from several years ago where the police department wasn't functioning at 100%. We changed that. We put a 28-year veteran in charge of our police department, and he has done a spectacular job of providing more security on the trains, more security at the stations, and controlling costs because of good police methods. We've hired 2 executive directors filling the position, or deputy executive directors, one to fill my position and one to fill one position that was vacated. The deputy executive director of operations is Pete Zwolfer. He's got over 30 years experience. And John Milano, who is our executive director of administration, who handles the administration side of the house. They work back and forth very closely together so they don't get siloed, so we're working in concert. We've also put together, and we are putting together, a new PR team, and we hired a new chief who can now claim that she has worked for planes, trains, and automobiles, and it's not John Candy. So she's worked in all facets of the operation and in trains, planes, and automobiles. So she really understands transportation from a grassroots side of the world. We just hired a new chief HR person who has 15 years experience, 13 years in the public sector and 2 years in the private sector, who basically has many skills, but some of them are strategic planning, change management, organizational effectiveness. We needed that. We need to move Metra in the right direction. You can't do that without a good, solid HR department to put the right people in the right jobs and keep on moving forward. Years ago, we used to have managers that were going back to the union ranks because they weren't being paid appropriately. We put together a comprehensive plan to pay our non-union forces what other transit agencies are paying to try to stop that. There's no sense in trying to train people and get them ready for the next generation if they're only going to stay there for a year or two, because by the time you get them trained and they know their job, they're on. They're off to another side of the company, which we didn't want that. We wanted to retain and grow our people. That's very important. It was very important for us, especially with the baby boomers, yours truly, that aren't going to be around here forever. The other thing we looked at was our financial management system. We invested $12.6 million in our financial management system for a new ERP, or one segment of the ERP system. We had financial systems that go back into the 60s. I don't know why we'd want to change it. They were working fine, evidently, but really, you know, if you really look at running a real robust organization and you're trying to make decisions based on data, the data has to be there when you're trying to make the decision, not have 10 people working on something for 3 months where it would have taken you just a click of a button to find out. So that's the direction that we're moving the organization. We've taken a lot of steps, a variety of steps to boost our openness and transparency. We're webcasting our board meetings live now, so you know, in case you don't have anything to do on board meeting day, tune in. We'll guarantee to entertain you. We're also posting a lot of things on the internet. We're posting our jobs, we're posting our salaries, we're posting FOIA requests. I don't know how many people here that are familiar with FOIA, but we've got a pretty active FOIA department that processes FOIA requests every single day. People want to know what we're doing, want to give them the information. We figured if we put the information out on the website, it would reduce some of that. We don't want to hide anything. We want to be open and transparent. I also would like to talk about some of the policy changes that we've done. This last year, you know, thanks to the RTA, we've got a grant from them to do a pilot project on the Rock Island that actually has reduced the travel time on the weekends. And what that is, if you're coming from Joliet 40 miles away and it takes you an hour, 20, 25 minutes, some of the people look at it, well, on the weekends, it's not that crowded, I can drive. So what we looked at it, and we sat in a room and we said, you know what, the definition of lunacy is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. If we're not growing ridership, what can we do to enhance our service, to enhance ridership? We had an express train, so now the trains coming out of Joliet, if anyone's going down our Beverly branch, which is a cutoff, they would have to stop every 4 blocks. So it really increased the travel time. It was really not a convenient mode of transportation if you were coming all the way from Joliet. Since we did that, we've grown our ridership on the Rock Island on the weekends for about 400 people each day, Saturday and Sunday. So we're not going to keep it as a pilot program. We're going to keep it as a permanent program. Those are some of the innovative things we're looking to do. How do we get more ridership on our trains? Some of the trains have a lot of capacity, and we don't have to have new trains and different things and more fuel. Just put people in the seats and give them an experience that they don't want to leave our transportation system. We also are looking at enhancing some of the things like the events that we have downtown, the Blackhawks Rally, the Lollapalooza, Chicago Half Marathon. The Blackhawks Rally this year, it was our 3rd busiest day in history, and it would have been our first if we hadn't split the Blackhawks Rally into 2 different things. Remember, they had one thing at Soldiers Field, and then they had another one with the parade. It would have clearly been our highest day. I'm pretty proud of that, and I'm proud of the team, because when you start looking at 421,000 riders, all crammed into trains, all coming nonstop, 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 to move that mass of people without a single injury, and to have any sort of resemblance of what you should be operating, you couldn't ask for a better day. It was really wonderful. We've also looked at our bikes on trains. You know, one of the biggest problems we have in the transportation side of the world is first mile, last mile. We all talk about that. You know, the train tracks go from here to, say, Elgin. We don't drive to someone's business or whatever. So the first mile, last mile is important in many areas. So if you can allow more bikes on trains, if it's close, a mile or 2, they might take a bike on a train and do some different things. We're trying to make our system more advantageous for our customers to use it, and then tell other people about it, what you can do with the system. We also did a pilot project on our pets on trains. What we've got is we've allowed pets on trains on the Rock Island. And I keep on talking about the Rock Island because that's really our test bed. And the reason is we own it, we control the towers, we control everything. So that's a good vehicle for us to do it and then expand out to other areas. And that really helps us out. So we're hoping that the pets on trains will entice more weekend ridership and off-peak ridership. That's what we're really looking for. We want people to experience the train. Once they experience the train, maybe on a weekend, they might migrate to that mode of transportation every single day because it's a great way to travel. In the railroad industry, the number one priority for any railroad, if you talk to any railroad throughout the country, the first thing they're going to tell you is safety. Safety is number one. Safety of your employees, safety of your passengers, and safety of the communities we operate through. We became the first railroad to be 100% operation and non-operational compliant with C3RS. It's a voluntary program. That's called confidential close call reporting. One of the things that we're doing at Metra to make it better and have a better safety experience is we all can go out after there's an accident, after there's a derailment, or after there's something, and we look at it, and we are very good at how did it happen, why did it happen, trying to assess blame for who did it, and all that. We've done that for 100 years. We need to change. And what the C3RS program allows us to do, and we partnered with the FRA, the Federal Railroad Administration, who also has under contract NASA. Yeah, I said NASA, the people that, go to outer space. They are using their database system, so when employees have a concern, it might be somebody that's doing something they shouldn't do, shortcutting something, they have the ability to report it. NASA scrubs the data, meaning they take the names out and different things like that, and then they put it to a peer review committee, which is on the railroad, which is made up of union members and management members, and you look at it and you try to factor in when is the next accident, or where are we at, what's happening here. If you've got people that are doing things and shortcutting in a certain area, now we have the data, we can go out and we can say, we need training. Is it training? Is it we are training but we have people that aren't adhering to the training? We can try to figure things out before it happens. That I can't tell you how important that is for us, and it's a really innovative way of thinking about safety. Solve problems before they happen, then you don't have to worry about the problems that had happened. So that's very important for us. This year we launched our 10th annual safety poster contest to educate the region's children about safe behaviors around trains and tracks. We all hear about accidents around trains. Actually, there was an accident this morning that we were involved with on the Burlington Northern. As sad as it is, it happens, and what we need to do is work with everybody to educate people, educate kids, educate the communities, and also educate our own employees, our own personnel. We put our employees through a suicide prevention or suicide awareness. So if you're seeing employees doing certain things, fidgeting around a railroad, not taking a train, hanging around, that's a sign. Rather than just go by and look at them or wave, is there some reason that's happening? And that's been a very good intervention so far. We've had several people that we've been able to intervene on and make that not a reality, as unfortunate as it is. Safety will always be our number one priority, but we've rededicated ourselves also to on-time performance. Last year, we didn't have the best on-time performance record, and when we came off of 13-14 with the polar vortex, a word that really keeps me up at night still. I never heard it before, and I'll never forget it, I'll tell you that. But this is the 8th straight month that we have been able to achieve a 95% or above on-time performance system-wide. That's huge. It's really, really, really unbelievable. But here's the most important fact. I say that, and you just clapped, and I appreciate it, but I don't know if you really realize Metra has the oldest fleet in the nation with the lowest cost per passenger mile. Metra has the best on-time performance record with the lowest fares of any passenger railroad, our peer passenger railroads, including New York, New Jersey, Boston, and Philadelphia. Unbelievable. What that means is we've got the oldest equipment. We've got equipment, and Marty says this all the time, we've got equipment that in 2 years will be ready for Medicare. It's from the Eisenhower era. And I've spoken at different things, and I asked people, how many people drove their car that was 63 years old to work today? And naturally, nobody raises their hand. And I asked them again. I said, well, if you're not driving you in a car, why would people expect us to put 1,500 people on a train and get them to their destination on time every single day without some sort of failures? That's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with old equipment. We talk about the polar vortex. We could have the polar vortex in July 10th. And the reason I say that, as long as we're above the 95% threshold, people kind of turn their head and they say, well, you guys are doing great. You guys are doing fine. The only reason we're doing great and fine is we've got the most dedicated workforce in the world making it happen to make sure that we deliver a good quality service. But that can only go so far. We need to make changes. We need to fund our agencies. We need to move forward. I want to talk a little bit about the budget this year. Our budget this year is $945 million. That provides it's 59.8, but I'll say 760 operating, 186 in capital. Now, the key to this, I said our budget this year is $945 million. Last year, our budget was $1.3 billion. This year we're in is $1.1 billion. And we look at it now, it's under $1 billion. And you have to ask, well, why is your budget going down? Because we aren't funding our capital side of the world. When we have capital dollars, we factor that in and we look at that and it adds into your budget. There's no capital dollars out there that we need to keep our operation going. So the more that dwindles, the more we have to rely on our rider base to pay for the fares, and the more we have to experience delays and things like that. And people don't want to take our service if it's not reliable. Everybody understands we're going to operate a safe railroad, and we always will. But if we continue to disinvest in our system, we're going to have to make some choices on slowing trains down and doing things and understanding that we've got certain challenges that we're going to have to live with. We shouldn't be there. I came from a defunct railroad in the 80s, right, the 70s actually, that there was no reason for that. If you invested in your infrastructure, you can see it all over. If you disinvest in your infrastructure, the problems don't go away. They get bigger and more costly. So we really need to address those issues. Tonight we have 4 public hearings. We had public hearings yesterday on budget. For the most part, everybody's very happy with what we're doing. You know, you always have some people that have some concern on some issues that they have that is more personalized to them. But for the most part, our customers are happy that we're really taking a hard look at what our budget is and a hard look at what our infrastructure is, and we're trying to make the right decisions. Thank God we have the board that we do that's not afraid to stand up to a good challenge. You know, some boards will look at it and say, well, we can't do this, we can't do that. Our board has said, no, tell us what you need. Don't pretend like it was years ago where we don't want to say anything because you're not going to get it. Tell us what it is you need and we'll do whatever we can to try to get it. This year we're going for a 2% increase. Now remember, we had a fare increase last year. We looked at a 10-year strategic capital plan, which really was going to fund 367 cars, 52 locomotives, $20 million we were going to put at 49th Street to increase the throughput there for the cars we're rebuilding. But the reason this year we were supposed to next year in 16, it called for a 5% increase. But what we promised everybody what we would do, we would look at our budget every year and our expenses. We would try to control expenses like every organization should do and do what we could to make it work. So when we started from last year, January 1st, in the new budget cycle, every day we look at, what can we do better? What can we do more efficient? How can we cut costs in that? So this year, when we looked at it, through efficiencies from last year, we had $5.7 million worth of additional efficiencies. We were able to lock in our fuel, which is close to $20 million savings. That might not be there forever, but we're sure going to grab it when it's there. And an additional $19 million in state taxes. So all those factored in, we only had to raise our fares 2%. And the reason was, I talked about PTC earlier, 1% is for PTC operating. We looked at PTC, besides costing us approximately $350 to $400 million, we believe it's going to cost us close to $20 million a year to operate. So what we did, last year, we said we were going to raise the fares 1%, and we're going to do that for 5 years to build up to that $20 million. We don't need it all at once right now because we're not there. We are still installing equipment and everything else. So as we get to the 2018, the deadline and that, we should have enough money in our funds to fund that $20 million. So that was the 1% there. The other 1%, because I talked about 2%, was to actually what we call revenue, fare box revenue to capital. What that does for us is it allows us to, if there's a federal program and you need a match, you can't match a federal program with federal dollars. So you need to come up with local match or wherever you get the money. So that money is used for that. It's also used for when we have situations on the railroad like we did last year. The roof blew off of 49th Street. You've got a big facility, the roof blows off. You can't say, I've got to go through a federal procurement process and let the guys work with 480-volt electricity while the rain's coming in on them. You got to take action. So that's what we did. That's where we put that money. By the way, we need to build that fund up, and we're looking at doing that in the future. So that's very, very important for us to do that. So the 2% really was a wonderful thing for us to be able to come back to the public and say we didn't need the 5%. We said we were going to look at it, and we do what we say we're going to do. That was very, very important. I talked about the budget a little bit, and I want to make this very, very clear. We do our budget based on what they call the RTA marks. The RTA looks at it every year, and they look at what the state's going to give us, and they figure out where all the money's going to go, and they say this is the money you're going to have to operate your agency. So they gave us the marks, and we built our budget around it. But the assumptions that we made is we weren't going to get cut on the state dollars that we're getting, funneled through from, our PTF fund or any of the other things. If that in fact changes, we're going to have to relook at our budget. We're hoping that doesn't change. That's pretty much flow through money. If the economy's doing good, you get more sales tax dollars and things like that. So we're on track to hitting our targets, and as long as that doesn't change, we're going to be able to come in at a 2% budget, which is wonderful. Lastly, I want to talk a few things about customer focus. We want every employee that we have to be extremely customer focused. It's much easier to let people know what's going on. I had a gentleman talk to me earlier today. There was I told you about a situation on the Burlington Northern trains were stopped for several hours. It's one thing to have a train stop for several hours, and it's one thing to have a train stop for several hours and you don't know why you're stopped. As long as you can get information to your customers, they at least understand and know that you're trying to rectify the situation and do things. So everything we do at Metra is customer focused. What is the customer experience going to be? So let me just tell you a few things that we've done. We've committed to leveraging technology to enhance customer service and providing access to technology to our customers. We've upgraded our email alert system to allow riders to select the window during which they want to receive alerts. We used to have line alerts about a year and a half ago. And what that was, if you rode the BN, then you got a line alert. So anything that happened from midnight to midnight the next day, you heard about. Why would you want that? If you're going to ride a train at 7 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock in the evening, aren't you worried about those trains? So we changed it, and we did that so our customers could now go back to our website and the e-alerts. We were driving customers away and didn't even know it. So we've made those changes. We've upgraded our train trackers, our train tracker and schedule finder tools on the website to offer more information and more up-to-date information about schedule and status of trains. We've adjusted our website to allow customers to pay for tickets with one or more forms of payment things. So with the tax, the pre-tax dollars, right now it's $130. It used to be more. We're trying to get it more for transit parity. But if you, let's say your monthly ticket's 150 or 160, the only way you could use your card or do that for a split payment is go to a window and then have to give them the different cards. You couldn't do it any other way. So now we've got that, so you can do it on our website. And when we launch our mobile app, which I'll talk about in a little bit, you'll be able to do it right there, which is really a godsend when you think about it. You never have to worry about it again. If it's 160 and you had 130, boom, boom, it's done. So we're really excited about that. We're working on a more user-friendly website. We've continued to install charging outlets on our trains, and we've installed charging outlets in the waiting areas of our 5 downtown terminals. By the end of the year, we will have that completed. So our customers, let's say they didn't get a chance to charge their phone, they can go in there, they can charge their phone a little bit, and they can move on. We're also going to be installing Wi-Fi on our downtown terminals, and that should be done by the end of the year also. We were focused on actually the outlets in the cars, but there was some articles that said, hey, we needed to refocus, we needed to redo some things. We took that seriously. Within months, we started installing charging stations and Wi-Fi in our stations. So that's on our downtown stations. That's very important. In the coming weeks, we'll launch our new mobile ticketing app in partnership with our regional partners, CTA and PACE. For us, this is the most exciting part that we've got. It'll allow our customers to buy and display on their smartphone. And I got a little video I want to show you here. So if you would roll the video.
Psst. Why are you standing in line? Now you can buy that Metra ticket right from your smartphone. Introducing the Metra app. Buying a Metra mobile ticket is easy, and if you choose to create an account in the app, you can store payment info. Plus, the tickets you buy are protected if you ever lose or replace your phone. Just open the app and choose Buy Metra Tickets. Pick your train line, where you're coming from, where you're headed to, and what kind of ticket. Decide how many you want, then check out. If you have an account, you could see several payment methods, like an existing credit card, transit value, pre-tax transit benefits, or split payment between 2 available payment options. Just select your payment method, then hit Buy Now. To use your ticket, wait till you've boarded the train. Once on board, go to My Metra Tickets and choose the ticket you want to activate. Show the ticket to the conductor and tap to validate. You're all set. The Metra app, a better way to Metra, has arrived.
We've been testing the app for quite some time now with a special users group to begin with, and we started expanding it. And the reason we did that was because we didn't want to launch an app, especially when you've got 150,000 people out there that could possibly use it and have it fail. We wanted to make sure, and the board made a commitment, that we would hold off a little bit until we got it right. And we believe in the coming weeks, we are going to be able to release the app. Up here, you've got a couple of comments I'd like you to read with some of the people that have experienced the app and tried it, some of their comments. It's really amazing. What I really want to share with you, I want to share a little Leanne story. Leanne, don't blush. Leanne was one of the first people to try the app, and that was great. I got a call from Leanne one day, and she was so excited. She says, "I'm so excited, I got this app, it works perfect, the conductor." And that's the type of comments we're hearing from all the people that have been in the test group. By an overwhelming majority, it is one of the biggest things we've ever done at Metra to make this come out of the Stone Ages and move into the 21st century. So we're really happy, and we're really proud of the application. And I'm very proud of the Metra team led by Leanne and her group, and Tom and his group. You've done a great job. You've worked very, very hard to put this together, and our agency and our customers are going to be better for it. When we get ready to launch this app in the coming weeks, you'll be able to get it like you do any other app. If you have an iPhone, you'll be able to go to the Apple Store, and if you have a Google phone, you can go to the Google Play and get it. I encourage you to do that because it really is a wonderful application. As I said, Metra is a different agency than it was a couple of years ago, and we could not have done half of what we've done if it wasn't for the support, like I say, of the board, our customers letting us know what they need and us trying to deliver that product. That's the only way you're going to grow your agency. We're putting our customers first, and we want to improve their entire experience so they can tell other future customers. We think we've made significant progress, but we always can do better, and we will continue to do that. With that, that's the last thing I have. I appreciate it. I'd be more than happy to take any questions that you have, because I think what they were going to do is throw them in a shredder before they got up here, but I don't think that's the case.
Well done, Don.
Thanks, Paul.
Well, you give me a prescription? Okay. You heard that opening comment of mine. Mush left. He knew he left because there was a reason. Put him on the question form. Unlike Meatloaf, 1 out of 3 is bad. All right, here we go. Need a little younger crowd. Here we go. John Rice, Rico Enterprise Incorporated. Update on Wi-Fi on moving trains.
What we have decided to do, we've tried several times to deliver a no-cost solution to our customers. That's what we tried to do. We haven't really been able to do that yet. It's very, very costly, the infrastructure that's out there, especially some of the areas that we operate through. I'm pleased to say what we are doing, we're doing a test program right now that we're going to be launching by the end of the year, where we're going to have 11 of our cars equipped with Wi-Fi on the car, and we have 11 different lines, and we're going to put a car on each line to try it out. There's two reasons for this. One is, does it function like we think it should function? And number 2, is it going to be financially feasible to do it and expand, the program? We're not giving up on Wi-Fi. The no-cost solution might not be there, depending on how this project goes, but we're also looking at possibly a paid solution where something like an airport or an airline, when you get on there and you pay a certain fee. The issue that we really have, although Wi-Fi is nice, there's not a huge clamoring because everybody has got a smartphone, and most of the time people have, that equipped on their phone already. They're already paying for it. So, we will look at that. We're always going to look at what we can do. If our customers want it, we're going to try to find a solution for it. But that's pretty much where we're at right now.
Nothing about getting specific. You ready for this one?
No.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. FK Plus? Okay, way in the back. Okay. Corridor Capital LLC. Now, you could duck this one. What level of priority has been assigned to the UP North Line Viaduct replacement project? When will it get its 3rd track back? When will the 2nd track get done? I don't think he signed up for this job for a question like this. Of course, you have the answer, right?
Right now, we're looking to try to finish. We have the UP Bridge project, and we finished the one segment. There's a total of 44 bridges. There were 11 bridges on each side, which is 22. Then you move down, and you've got another 22 bridges, 11 and 11. In our capital program, I don't know, maybe I didn't mention this, money's tight. We don't have a budget, and we're sitting on $400 million of funding that we haven't received yet. So as we get funding to move forward, we will definitely look at starting the bridge project in that again. But right now, I think everybody understands that funding is a major issue in trying to get a balanced budget. I'm very hopeful myself that if we get a balanced budget, we will be able to work on living up to some of the commitments on the last bond program. But that's where we're at with it right now.
Only $400 million.
Well, just a mere bag of shells.
That was a setup question, by the way. Be quick. Mayor Barrett Peterson from Franklin Park. Where are you, Mayor? There you go. Round of applause, please. Elected officials need all the help they can get these days. Whoa. Following up what you just said, the mayor wants to know, is Metra satisfied with the state's response to business setting up shell purchasing offices in Kankakee to avoid RTA sales tax? You want to answer that, or can we just say given?
I think that's a given. It's really out of my field, but if you're asking me personally, I think that we need to fund our system that's within our region, and wherever we should be getting tax dollars, we should be getting tax dollars and not providing an opportunity not to get those tax dollars.
Okay. By the way, the best printing we've seen, certainly better than when we had the tech people. John O'Neill, Michael Baker International. What is your position on interfacing with the inner-city high-speed rail?
I would like to have a better understanding of the question. What is our position on interfacing with inner-city high-speed rail? We interface with high-speed, well, there is no real high-speed rail, but depending on where it comes through, one of the thought processes was to bring the high-speed rail from St. Louis up through and come down the Rock Island line. I mean, so we would be interested in seeing that. It would take a lot of capital dollars and development to provide the opportunity for high-speed rail to come through, but I think if we put our best foot forward, we would be able to make that happen. I hope that answers whoever's question.
Okay, we have Patricia Jakovic, City of Chicago. This is now you're supposed to go, ooh, okay. Oh, boy, you're quoting him from these. In your April 2014 presentation, Don, you mentioned the hiring of an auditor monitor, especially for hiring of Metra employees. Can you update us on that project?
Sure. We used to have a internal audit system. We worked with our board, and we have outsourced our internal audit system right now with the Browner Group, who happens to be here today. We work very hard to make sure that we have comprehensive audits that mean something, and findings that we can find solutions to move forward. As far as, what was it, the employees can update, hiring Metra employees, we just hired, like I said, Michael Jones, who's our chief HR officer, who brings many years of experience. We work very hard to hire the right people that's up for the job. We want to make sure we've got the best and the brightest. We want to be able to pay them, retain them. It's all about recruitment, retainment, and succession planning when people go, so you can move the organization forward. So yes, we do have an audit process, and yes, we are moving forward to hiring the best and the brightest people for positions at Metra.
Two more questions. This is from Mr. Anonymous. I wouldn't normally read it, but it's a pretty important question. What is Metra doing to improve air quality and maintenance issues at Union Station?
Metra, along with Amtrak, has done a lot in the short term. We've equipped our engines with AESS, automatic start-stop. We've got procedures in place to plug, or to actually shut our power down and plug it into shore power. The automatic start-stop, if the conditions are correct, it will shut the locomotive down. Those are all short-term fixes. We've also changed filters in our cars to be a higher filter to reduce more of the carbon and things like that. The only real solution, and it's a longer-term solution, is the complete renovation of Union Station, where you can actually design a system that is built for today's standards for diesel locomotive operation and commuter service. And Metra is taking a lead role in that process to make sure it happens. We have about 80% of the customers that go through Union Station are our Metra customers. So it's very important to us, and we are well in the process in design of RFPs and issuing RFPs to make it a better solution. But I don't want anyone to think it's going to be fixed by the end of the year. It's one of these solutions that you're going to have to make major changes in the station, and with that, it will also be flow control, and there'll be a lot of other things that we do at the station.
Okay. The last question, and this is the first question ever in the history of the City Club, where the person's first name is Izzy. Izzy Vinci. Is that Vinci? Is that correct? Okay, Rock Island retiree. Can you update us on the proposed SIE service from Chicago to beautiful, as a former South Suburban, and I can say that, to the beautiful Crete, Illinois.
I never met a Rock Island person that didn't have a comment, so thanks, Izzy. No, Izzy and I go back a long way. Yes, I can update you on that. Metra, you know, I want to be very clear when I say this. Right now, we have a $11.7 billion state of good repair need in the next 10 years. That's huge, and we're only expected to get about 20% of that money through normal funding channels. So we've really got a lot of work to do to make sure that we are running and operating and rebuilding and refurbishing our system where it is. We have a consultant that we're going to be looking at many of the projects, because it's not just the Southeast service. You've got, you know, McHenry is looking for more things. You've got extensions. You've got the Burlington Northern. Everybody's looking for more service, and I applaud that because that's what we do. We also have to be financially responsible, and how are we going to pay for this, and how are we going to operate it in the future. So that is a very important project for us. We will continue to look at it and move, you know, ahead appropriately as our board, you know, looks at this. So it's a project that's been out there for a long time. It's got merit like many of the other projects. So that's pretty much where we're at.
How about a round of applause? Well done, then.
Thank you.
You got it.